What's up, guys? It is Ray Ace here, and we are going to check out two true 7-Eleven horror stories that have been animated. I was interested in this because I worked in public fast foods, and there's a lot of weird shit that I have seen for years. So let's get into it.
The night began like any other at the 7-Eleven where I work the graveyard shift. My name is Melissa, and I thought I'd seen it all, from the late night drums
That
to
blew
the
out
early
my
morning
ears.
rush of cab drivers. But nothing could have prepared me for what was about to unfold. Ed, there were 4 others in the store with me. A young couple who had been arguing over chips, a weary truck driver stacking up on coffee, and a quiet man lost in a book until that moment. The masked figure, his weapon a silent promise of violence, demanded our phones, and then, surprisingly,
Hell no.
started what he called his experiment. He said that he knows about our darkest secrets. He knows what we fear, what we hold back.
Speaking of which, if y'all want to drop a comment down below, I would want to know y'all's scariest stories working in public places. I am always fascinated by that. What is the creepiest shit y'all have ever dealt with? Me, it was a guy who chewed off his tongue in the bathroom of a Rhodes 101 stop. That was the creepiest thing I ever dealt with because the dude didn't feel it. He went and sat down in his own pool of blood and waited for the ambulance to come pick him up. I don't know if he was on drugs or what the fuck it was, but it was in the rodeo in Missouri. And I had to work that shift. That fucking sucked. That's what killed it for me on public servicing. Because the dude sat down, blood dripping. Creepiest shit ever. But yeah, I would want to so I can read them and see some creepy fucking stories from y'all.
The sins of our pasts, and the worries that we hide with a smile every day. He then added that he would ask each of us some questions that cut to the core of who we were, or who we had been. He already knows the answers, but do we have the courage to say it in front of the others? He said that he carries a mic which is broadcasting their conversation directly to the radio station channel and being heard by thousands. There was just one rule: if we lie, we die. To the young woman,
What the fuck?
he asked, "What is the lie that you live every day?" Her eyes filled with tears met mine before she confessed to cheating on her husband with 3 other men. To her partner, he posed, "What have you taken that was not yours to take?" The man's face drained of color as he admitted, for the first time, to a hit and run he had committed in his youth.
I understand though.
Whose life
I get
did
it.
you ruin without ever looking back? With a heavy sigh, he revealed the story of a family business he had sabotaged to save his own, unaware of the downward spiral it caused them, leading to their suicide. And to the quiet man, engrossed in his book,
I want to know if this shit is real. That would be fucking terrifying that somebody knows that much about you. A hit and run that you committed in your teenage years. It says 2 true stories, but we all know how that goes. But I wonder though, because that'd be fucking freaky. But then again, there's so much shit nowadays. Like, I don't know if you've seen where YouTube took over, like 2,000 users' rights or whatever, over data, over some kind of crime that was committed. I'm not too for sure about the details. That shit is fucking terrifying.
until our collective nightmare began. The question was, what truth do you hide behind your silence? His reply was the most shocking. A confession to embezzling funds from the non-profit he worked for, driven by desperation and shame. As each secret spilled into the open, the air in the store became heavier, suffocating. It was a psychological striptease, each revelation stripping away the layers of pretense.
Dude, that is so
until nothing
fucked.
but raw, painful truths remained.
That is
Then,
beyond
it was
creepy
my
that
turn.
somebody can know
What
that.
are you most afraid of? He asked me. his voice a blade that seemed to slice through the very fabric of my being. I thought of lying, of conjuring some trivial fear, but the weight of the confessions around me pressed me down, and I found myself speaking my truth.
A fear of dying without ever having truly lived, trapped in a cycle of monotony and unfulfilled dreams.
The shooter, his identity still masked, nodded, as if each confession was a piece to a puzzle only he could see. As the night dragged on, the boundary between captor and captives blurred, our secrets binding us in a macabre camaraderie.
Dude, that
But
is
as
so
dawn
fucking
approached,
creepy.
With the police surely on their way, a palpable sense of seemed almost calm now, as if the culmination of his experiment was at hand. He turned
That's
to face us,
so
the
fucking
gun
creepy.
no longer the focal point of his presence. "You have all revealed truths tonight," he began, his voice eerily steady. "But the greatest revelation is yet to come." My heart pounded in my chest, the fear and anticipation mingling into a potent cocktail that made my head spin. What more could he possibly want from us?
Dude, that is.
We had
I'm
laid
so
bare our
into this.
darkest
Like, it is
secrets, our deepest shades.
unbelievably
What more was there to
gripping.
reveal? Then, with a flourish, he removed his mask, and the room went silent. The face that stared back at us was not that of a monster, but of a man we all recognized. Professor Gladwell. Of violence, people would reveal truths they normally keep hidden, and you all passed with flying colors. The room erupted in chaos, the revelation too much to process. The young couple clung to each other, the truck driver shouted in disbelief, and the quiet man simply stared, his eyes wide with shock. Gladwell continued, undeterred by their reactions. "Fear," he declared.
Is it just me, or does this dude look like a fucked up designed version of Leatherface? The dude looks like Leatherface, like actual Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They just weirdly designed his body.
"It's the most powerful motivator. It strips away the facade, revealing the essence of who we truly are." But before he could continue, the sound of sirens pierced the early morning calm, and within moments the store was swarming with police. Gladwell made no attempt to flee or resist. Instead, he surrendered with a smile, as if this was the ending he had envisioned all along. In the aftermath, as we gave our statements and the reality of our ordeal
That's fucking
began to
creepy.
sink in, I felt a strange sense of clarity. Gladwell's experiment had been unethical, a violation on so many levels, but it had also forced me to confront a truth I had long denied. I didn't want to be a clerk forever, living in a fear of a life unlived. The trial that followed was a media sensation. Gladwell rear in reputation in ruins. The hostages, myself included, were hailed as victims of a madman's game, our personal revelations overshadowed by the sensational nature of the case. But for me, the experience marked a turning point. I quit my job at the 7-Eleven, went back to school, and pursued my dream of becoming a writer. And though the memories of that night still haunt me, they also serve as
So that's part of the reason why I'm doing this now, is because I used to work. I worked 2 to 3 jobs on average at a time, and I would never be home with my daughter. That's part of the reason why I started doing YouTubes, so I could be home with my kid more and be able to do stuff with my daughter, so that she could also be able to have fun and be able to have a fun life. So I don't know. It is what it is. Oh well. But that is fucking freaky.
as
You
a
go through.
reminder of the strength I found in the face of fear. Gladwell's experiment was meant to expose our weaknesses, but instead, it revealed a resilience I never knew I had. And while I can never forgive him for what he did, I can't help but wonder if, in some twisted way, he gave me the push I needed to finally start living. The night at the 7-Eleven will forever be etched in my memory, not just as a tale of survival, but as the moment I stopped being a victim of my fears and started to confront them head on. mysterious man from the 7-Eleven.
You don't even know how many of those I've edited out.
It was a decision born out of curiosity, a need to understand why, every month at exactly 8 p.m.,
there's an
this
ad.
stranger would
I've
come in
already
and
had 4
purchase three
ads in
seemingly
this
unrelated items: a lighter,
16-minute
a pack of
video.
salt, and a single candle. My colleagues had told me tales of his visits, how they coincided with unexplained power outages and a chill that would sweep through the store. The man always came once every 30 days, bought his stuff, then met the shady store manager in his office and left. My colleagues joked about it, but their laughs never quite reached Spanish or native Indian lingo, but I was clueless to it. I hid behind a tree, watching, my heart racing with a mix of fear and excitement. Then, I made a mistake. I stepped on a branch and it snapped under my foot with a sound that shattered the silence like glass. The man turned sharply, his eyes finding mine in the darkness. There was a flash of anger, and then a profound sadness. I don't know how he did it, but he just vanished before my eyes, leaving me alone in the clearing, the chill of the night suddenly more biting than before. I didn't understand what I had done, but I felt it in my bones, a mistake that had irrevocable consequences. I hurried back to the 7-Eleven, my mind racing.
You walked in onto a seance, my boy. And the dude just vanished? No, this is whenever you just self-commit to just any religion, any
Trying to
belief.
convince myself it was all a product of my imagination, but the town had changed. Shadows moved with a life of their own, whispering threats and voices only I could hear. The street lights flickered as I passed, plunging me into darkness before flaring back to life. I felt like I was being hunted, chased by something I had inadvertently unleashed. I was alone, in a town overrun by nightmares, with no knowledge of how to reverse what I had done. The night stretched on, an endless parade of horrors that tested the limits of my sanity. Shadows whispered my name, and black formless creatures of darkness pressed against the windows, their red eyes gleaming with malice.
Holy water. I don't care if you gotta boil the hell out of it. You need holy water. Bad.
I was in
You
a
need
living
something.
nightmare, and dawn seemed an eternity away. The night wore on, each minute stretching into what felt like hours, as I huddled in the cramped office of the 7-Eleven with the manager, whose quiet and aloofness we had all taken for being strange and shady. And then I learned his reason. He was aware of the darkness, the mysterious man and his rituals. He held all of these secrets inside of him. And then something happened. A tall shadow entered inside, and with swiftness rushed to the manager. He convulsed, his eyes rolled up, and he was lifted off his feet into the air, possessed. I was freaking out, but the manager fought the evil, yelling the same thing on repeat, almost like a mantra. Light repels the darkness. It seemed overly simplistic, but desperation lends weight to even the most cliché of adages. I remembered the items the mysterious man always bought: a lighter, a pack of salt, and a candle. They were tools of protection, elements to ward off whatever now lurked in the shadows. Armed with this knowledge, I ran to the store, picked up a lighter.
Bro played in a whole ass horror movie. Let's be dead ass serious. This is a whole fucking horror movie. You could have made a Netflix movie out of this shit. Because let's be honest, Netflix has no expectations. But you could have still made a whole Netflix movie out of this. And still would have probably been better than most of them. But like, on God, this feels more like a movie than a fucking true story. That would be like sitting there and saying Paranormal Activity was true. Hell no. That is fucking stupid.
A candle, and salt. With these items in hand, I set about to the room, my
I was
hands
hearing shit.
trembling as I placed the candle in the center of the and circled it with salt, just like I had seen that mysterious man do. The moment I lit the candle, the oppressive darkness seemed to recoil, and my manager fell back on his feet. The whispers grew frantic, angry, and the shadows at the window surged forward. Then, speaking words of apology and hope, I used my own breath to fan the flame. It was a shot in the dark, but the candle flared brightly as opposed to burning off. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The shadows screamed, a sound of fury and pain, as the light washed over them,
Bruh.
dissolving them into nothingness. The whispers died away, and the darkness retreated.
Lights Out 2, anybody? You got a script right here. Hell, you got a whole ass movie right here for that.
Beaten
See what I'm
back by a
saying?
single
Y'all about shadowy demons and shit. Ta-da.
candle's light. I maintained the ritual until the first light of dawn crept through the windows. As the sun rose, the normal sounds of the town returning felt like music to my ears. The darkness had been banished, the town saved from a night of terror, but the cost was etched deep into my soul. I stepped outside, the morning light warm on my face, a stark contrast to the cold dread of the night. The town looked the same, but I saw it with new eyes. I had faced the darkness, both the one I had unleashed and the one within myself. The mysterious man never returned to the 7-Eleven, and I never learned his name, but I kept up the ritual, month after month. It was my penitence, my responsibility now. The town remained safe under my watch, but I knew the darkness was always there, lurking at the edges, waiting for another chance to seep in. I realized later that the true horror wasn't the darkness of the creatures it hid. It was the ease with which a single act of curiosity could unravel the safety of an entire town. I was scarred, forever changed by a night of unspeakable terror, but I had survived, and in that survival, I found a purpose.
To be honest, that looks fucking freaky. The 3 Snapchat horror stories, that looked fucking weird. But to be honest, that wasn't actually that bad, except for that second one. I doubt that was true at all, due to the fact that that was too close to being more of a horror movie than a story. It was too dramatized. But until next time, y'all, peace out. Drop a sub down below. Like, subscribe, comment, and like I said, let me know some horror stories about you working in customer service places. I would be interested in reading some of those. Till then, stay blessed.